Please read the disclaimer. Did we actually find the real reason why the crypto market, XRP, basically all commodities sold off on Thursday and why they bounced back on Friday? Hello, beautiful people. Shalom, money makers. XRP was in the headlines over the last 24 hours, dropping to its lowest level since November of 2024, and then bouncing back about 30% or 30 plus percent from the low. XRP was in the headlines. XRP was getting a lot of attention. Currently, XRP is at $1.42, down minus 3% on the day, but it is holding for now. The crypto market is holding. We're seeing a Bitcoin at 68,000, so still under 70,000. You can see we had the peak last night around 6 a.m. my time. So minus 7 hours to that, you get US time. And since then, we've seen a little bit of a pullback here, and we saw Bitcoin dropping about 6% in 3 hours. We saw XRP drop here a little bit as well, about 4.5% in that same time frame. And Ethereum still holding 2000 level, but you can see also in a very short period of time, it's seen that there was a selling spree here. And look, what is this? Maybe 20 candles in a row, 20 minutes of just selling candles. It seems like someone was unraveling something, some position here. It's 24 minutes of almost all red candles, dropping 3.5% there on Ethereum. Very interesting price action continuing here over the weekend with low liquidity. We'll see how the market reacts, right? Is it going to be a weekend to remember or a weekend to forget? Let's hope that it's a weekend to forget, just, in the fact that we are not going to see the markets crash down again. It seems that we might be again close to the bottom. If we look at the fear and greed index, we just hit 6. I don't know if we've had a day this low. Let's look at the max. Maybe here. It's hard to gauge on this graph here. Maybe here or maybe here in 2019. Can it do it? Can it do it? No, I don't know. It won't let me see the value here. Someone said, has it ever been this low? And someone said, I think in 2019 it was 5. So it could be that right here where I was trying to look, it was at 5. But this is the most fearful we've ever seen the crypto market in the history, right? After that sell-off that we just experienced on Thursday. And the question is, for me to you, are you fearful? Like, I know that this is an XRP video, and XRP, is still, even with the sell-off, when we hit $1 and I think 11 cents was the low, around that, 11 cents. People that bought XRP at 50 cents, in October of 2024 are still up 100% on their position. So that is a lot of XRP holders that are still in the money, right? So maybe XRP holders are less likely to be very, very fearful. Also, it could be that people that are in the market a long time are less fearful, but people that are maybe short-term in the market are still very fearful from a sell-off like this. It felt like, it wouldn't stop, right? On Thursday. And then Friday, we bounced back, right? And we saw buying pressure. And now the question is, again, will we recover from this? Yes, XRP is still down significantly from where it was a few days ago, but we are up 27% from the low. They always, we talked multiple times about that famous quote from Warren Buffett, but it's true. That's usually what happens. XRP though is still down. So if we look just from the beginning of the year, it's still down 22% for year to date. Bitcoin is still down 21.63%. So they're basically down the same year to date. Ethereum is 31%, and Solana is down 31.24%. So actually, year to date, XRP is still doing better, basically in line with Bitcoin just year to date from the beginning of the year. So this is a very interesting situation for XRP and for the crypto market. It's funny that we dropped to 6. Maybe data is delayed, or maybe people don't believe that this recovery is real, right? That this is maybe a bull trap, and that people are going to, yes, we're going, we're pumping back, and then people are going to get trapped here and the sell-off continues. We'll see. Again, I'm not a prophet. Day to day, I don't know what's going to happen in the market. I don't know what the president's going to say, what the president's going to do, geopolitically, what's going to happen. As always, I just want to remind you that this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. Very, very important. Also, remember that I will never contact you on social media asking you to sign up to anything or to send me anything. Those are scammers. Those are imposters. Please be very, very careful out there. So you can see here, XRP and Ripple getting a lot of um, exposure here, that it surged so significantly in that day, but the day before it was dropping a lot stronger than the rest of the market. You can see XRP surges 20% in one day. XRP outpaced the broader crypto market on Friday, rallying nearly 20% in 24 hours. The token traded around 150, briefly touching 155, 153, with the market capitalization rising roughly to 91.3 billion. XRP also strengthened against Bitcoin, gaining over 13% on the Bitcoin pair, according to CoinGecko. Meanwhile, the 24-hour trading volume jumped to about 16.5 billion. The rally followed improving investor sentiment after a series of announcements from Ripple, including a teaser for major upgrades to XRPL revealed on February 5th. Right? So that could, again, we talked about this whole article that came out. Was that the reason why XRP came back as strong as it did? Then why was it selling off? There's a lot of questions here. Why was it selling off? When we talked on Thursday morning, it was already down about 7%, whereas the rest of the crypto market really wasn't down at that point. And then things started unraveling and we started seeing the significant sell-off. Not just crypto, but also silver was unwinding as well. So many people have different opinions on why this was happening. Arthur Hayes is saying that the reason why that Bitcoin suddenly dropped was likely sold off because banks were hedging bets tied to BlackRock's IBIT ETF. He cited Morgan Stanley's structured note linked to IBIT, basically a bank-made bet on Bitcoin's price. When Bitcoin moves, banks have to quickly buy or sell to protect themselves, which can amplify big price swings. Hayes says he's now tracking these products to see where the next big move could come from. And that could be one of the reasons why the crypto market was selling off there. We talked about the possibility of the Japan carry trade. We talked about the situation in Iran. We talked about the strategy earnings, right? And Michael Saylor, that people could have been hedging on Bitcoin if their potential earnings there were, well, it wasn't really a surprise, but because we know their Bitcoin average and where they've been buying, but it could have been some shenanigans that was going on with that, because after the earnings came out, right, in the market started recovering off of that in a few hours. Like it dipped down and then it started recovering. Like it had its lowest point a few hours after the earnings, right? If you remember, because earnings came out about around here, somewhere around here, right? It dipped down and then we rallied off of that, which happens sometimes after earnings, right? There was a lot of shenanigans that were going on in this 24-hour span. And it seems now it has, except for this, kind of pull back that we saw this morning, the market has been relatively stable over the last, right? If we take from here to here, it's about 19 hours where we haven't seen much crazy price action. Yes, XRP rose a little bit here, right? If we get yes, right, it rose about 6% here in those 2 hours, but we were talking, the previous day, 20-30% swing. So the swings have contracted a little bit, but we're still seeing volatility, and we need to be very careful. Another thing that could be what's causing the situation in the crypto market comes from this, right? So there was a headline Breaking: China declares a full-scale crackdown on cryptocurrencies, no legal recognition of crypto as money, anti-crypto related business equals financial crime, complete ban on foreign crypto services operating inside China. And Benjamin tweets here, it wouldn't be a bear market if China wasn't banning crypto. It always happens. There's always this headline. I've seen this headline maybe 4 or 5 times in the last few years. There's something that, oh, China's banning Bitcoin again. It's always been basically the same. They have very tough rules on the crypto market. And, a lot of the fear that's been created by the US government is that if we don't do it, China is going to do it. Well, so far, China is actually going in the other direction. But they are afraid of crypto in this sense. Now, this is Secretary Bessent says China is banning Bitcoin, but letting its citizens buy gold. Gold is controllable, safe haven. Bitcoin is not. If you think Bitcoin is, over, you are a right. And this is from Fefe that actually kept saying the market is going to drop. The market is going to drop. Be careful. And he was really right, right? He's been right since October. He kept saying that the market was going to pull back, and people really ridiculed him and were going after him. And I have mentioned him a few times. He also had issues with the forced vacations, right? And it seems that whole situation has been resolved with YouTube. But he has been pretty on the money on his predictions. And he's actually now predicting that the market recovers off of this. So we'll see. But this is what Secretary Bessent had to say.
And look, that there are a lot of different stores of value over time. Bitcoin's becoming a store of value. Gold has historically been a store of value. I think what's interesting is, where do we see the gold demand coming from? A huge amount is from China.
Yes.
Where as I said, they're in the middle of an economic recession/depression. People don't trust the Chinese currency because they have capital controls. There are 1.4 billion Chinese who all want to get their money out, and they won't let them. They will let them buy gold. And look,
so that's why the Chinese government is so afraid of the crypto market, because if they have a possibility to take their assets, right, and transfer it to something that would be easy to transfer out of the country. So, gold, if you own gold or physical gold, you can take it on an airplane. They won't let you, right? Maybe a small amount, right? But Bitcoin, crypto, XRP, you have it on a wallet, you have it on an exchange, potentially, maybe if they're using a VPN, but you have it in your wallet and you go through, you fly out, and then you have the possibility to remove the money. They don't want money leaving China. And the Chinese people, they use all kinds of shenanigans and backdoors and all kinds of things in order to do it. They'll buy real estate, they'll buy all kinds of things. But this is a very interesting situation with the crypto market. So it could be, right, this is another one of the reasons why the crypto market sold off, because maybe someone knew that this headline was coming. And this always creates fear, and this always creates, the algos to trigger. So it could be the IBIT, it could be the situation from China, it could be strategy earnings, it could be the Japan carry trade finally unwinding a little bit. It could be the fact that a lot of software companies started selling off because of the fear of AI and Claude and all that taking over software, and a lot of money was flowing out of that. And it could be some big companies that were losing a lot or got margin called from the stock market and had positions in crypto and started unraveling their positions. It could be the final hurrah of the market makers from October 10th that got destroyed from the deleveraging that were unwinding their last positions. There's multiple of reasons why the market could have sold off on Thursday and had that maybe one of the worst days in a long time, right? And we hit lows for now. And now the question is going to be, was that the low? Are buyers now flowing in? Are the prices cheap enough that people are like, wow, this is, an opportunity that I don't know if it will come back, or is this just the first step of the sell-off, and the crypto markets continue to bleed off into the rest of the year? It will be very interesting to see how this plays out. And you can see here, and Benjamin says, good to finally see some relief in cryptoverse. Usually Bitcoin finds strength shortly after 50% drawdowns, which we just saw. The strength usually lasts anywhere from a few days to a few weeks. So this could be a recovery here, but historically, many counter trend rallies by Bitcoin during midterm years have topped during early March. So we have to take that into consideration. And interesting, right? Benjamin is one of the people that actually tracks the social media kind of interest in the cryptocurrency market. And he mentioned that his channel got, the day of the crash, around 300,000 views, right? And I also had my best day in a while. People were freaking out, so they were looking what happened and what's the reason why the crypto market was selling off. And funny, yesterday when XRP was pumping back was actually not as good as the day before. So does fear create an interest? That's interesting, because historically, usually my friends, they ask me about the crypto market when we're close to the bottom. And then they'll say, or they'll laugh at me and they'll say, oh, how's your crypto doing? Right. And then I'll tell them, hey, listen, now it's down so much, it might be, you might start want to think about it. And then what happens is they don't. And then 6 months later, when we've recovered, then they come back and they ask me, oh, do you think now should I? Right. And then I say, you shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? 6 months ago. But that's usually what happens. And so there is interestingly, more on the down days than the up days, which is kind of counterintuitive, which also brings me to the sticks, right? Probably tonight, we're going to see this come back to probably around 15-20, right? If the market stays where it is right now. But this is a very interesting situation. And we still have the Clarity Act going on. You can see from Eleanor Scoop, the next iteration of the White House stablecoin yield discussions between crypto and the banks has been scheduled for Tuesday, a source within the banking industry told her. The confab will again be staff level, but this time representatives from the banks themselves will be present alongside industry trade groups. More to come on expected attendees. So they're continuing to talk. I'm actually kind of skeptical that the banks are going to agree on anything too substantial here. This bill could potentially be very detrimental to them. They're going to have to find a common ground, but it will be interesting to see if this can actually pass through, and we can actually go forward with the Clarity Act, and will it actually pass? I know that the U.S. government, the White House, they really want it to pass, but Congress, the way that the U.S. government works, they can't push it through, if there's no collaboration and there's no support from some of the crypto market, or the big supporters of the crypto market, aka Coinbase and others. So it will be very interesting to see what happens with that. And this was I was supposed to I was supposed to talk about this before that. But you can see also Google searches for Bitcoin spiked right around 60,000. Google Trends shows worldwide searches for Bitcoin reached a score of 100, the highest levels in the past year. The increase comes in the drop, and people are interested. It usually signals rising retail attention during uncertain market conditions. People are trying to understand, why is it dropping? Is it time, or is it time to run away? That's the big question. And what happens in the crypto market is things move fast, right? By the time people were contemplating down here, the market ended up, or XRP, for example, ended up recovering around 30%. While someone was trying to decide what they were going to do, right? It was 38% from the low to the high yesterday, between Thursday and Friday. So again, people have a tendency to, freak out when they should be calculated, and they tend to get overzealous when they should be calculated. This is just human nature. But same thing when you're young and you do silly things and you might do stuff that are not good for you, and then in your 20s and your 30s you would never do that again, and your body also reacts differently, right? But your brain is a little bit more formed. Same thing with investing and trading. When you're young, when you're new, you do a lot of things that could be bad for you. But then when you learn and you experience and you see how things eventually work, you're a little bit more calm, cool, and collected. So it will be very interesting to see how this weekend plays out. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think is going to happen this weekend? Where do you see the market going from here? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Ring the bell so you get notifications about every single video that drops. Drop a comment, smash the like button, hype up the video if you have that possibility. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. And like I always say, let's make a lot of money.